Alrighty. Hello. Hopefully everyone's having themselves a nice wee night. Let's see, maybe this here could be shrunk down a little bit. How about that? Let's have this not blocking a whole pile of the screen. And same with this here. So, hello. Welcome. Right. Actually, there's something. You can all be moved up a little bit. And that should hopefully give us a nice little thing. Now, let's also add a little chat box, shall we? Let's get our streamer bot open. But chat box, yeah. We're adding this here, and we're gonna have it in here. So, there we go, all of that up. May as well drag this into the center screen. And alrighty, I think it's about time that we're probably ready to start putting some paint onto our palette, shall we? So, today we're painting our Kasrkin. And just to give you an example of the ones we've painted before, this is the color scheme we've gone for before. We're going to try and replicate something like this on our other fellas today. So, let me get one of my gloves on. Muy importante. And here we go. Latex-free nitrile gloves. So, paints we're going to be using. Deathworld Forest. That's our base. We will also be using layers of Lauren Forest, Baneblade Brown, a couple of little points of that, Camouflage, which I have not decanted into a dropper bottle, Biltan Green, and Militarum Green. So, first things first, base coating, very importante, muy importante, if you will. So, single drop, actually no. We're going to put 3 drops onto our wet palette because it's going to be the dominant color on these here ones. So, let's just get started with it, I guess. Make sure we get good sort of coverage on it. I don't want to thin it down too much or anything, so we're just literally got a couple of drops of it onto our wet palette, and we're dabbing it on, stippling it, if you will, onto a whole pile of points here. So I'll let you see how it sort of stipples on a little bit more onto our brush here, and we'll start off on the back end, try and get good coverage across this here. I know you're probably not noticing much of a difference between the grey and this here green, but once we put a wash over it of our shade, oh, believe me, you'll notice it. So there is one fella half done. We're doing a half on each of these guys for the simple fact that by the time their upper body is dried, or like, I'll keep these just sort of cycling, rotating in and out, so I get the opportunity. By the time the last one has the upper body done, we can start work on the lower body of the next one. And this one, as I see him, he's got goggles, which are going to be an interesting little one to deal with. I'm not that familiar with how to do goggle effects, glass effects and everything on, so that's going to be a very intriguing little learning curve for us. So there is another one done. Haha! Ooh. Let me quickly just rejig some of our layers. So there's 1, 2. Time to start work on dry. Good bit of coverage on him. And just try and get lots of these little sort of stipples and push as much of the paint around it as we can, because we want a nice thin coverage of this here. This green with the grey that I sprayed for the primer, they work pretty nicely together. This of course is my sacrificial brush for stippling. I'm hoping it's not too sacrificial and that I can still maintain it, because I actually quite like this brush. This is a quite nice one, especially for how cheap it was. So, right, a little bit more onto your side here. Oh, tiny little bit needed on the helmet there. Couple little bits there, and lovely. A little bit of stipple onto that. So there is 3. On to number 4. We're trying to see what all we can get done in an hour and a half tonight. That's my goal. 1 hour, 30 minutes. So actually, Alexa, set a timer for 1 hour and 20 minutes.
1 hour and 20 minutes, starting now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is my test. It's a little bit of a challenge to myself, just to see what can I in fact do in this space of time. Obviously we're not painting models completely, because we're doing sub-assembly stuff at the minute. However, it would be nice to see just what all we can in fact get sorted by sign off. So, boom, and a little bit more. Here we go. 4 with the top half base coated, and we have 3 left to top half base coat. So, a little bit more of this here onto our brush, and we're just continuing on with the process of stippling. It's to really try and push as much of the paint into the little recesses as possible, so that we get good even coverage. Over here, grab a little bit of this, a little bit more onto there, and a little bit more here. Come on. Get it nicely into the recesses. Et voila. 5. Time for numero 6. Flip this over. Do a little bit more onto here. These wet palettes are such a night and day difference compared to just like a piece of paper towel or something, for me at least. Plus, having decanted these into a dropper bottle, oh my god, also just incredible. So, a little bit more onto here. A little bit of grey left up there. Et voila. Lovely. Now, this guy is going to be quite possibly my favorite one to do, because of the fact I have given him a helmet, but his helmet is actually glued onto his back to serve as a prop. So this guy is currently not wearing his helmet during combat, but he does have it as a prop, which you can actually see down into that little bit. I need to make sure I get down into there with the coverage. And there we go. Voila. Now, let's do the lower halves of these guys and see just what all we can do. A little bit of green onto the bottom end there. Really try and get into these little recessy bits, and a little bit of a nice coverage on. Don't need to worry about getting too much of the bottom of the feet. And there we go, is one fillet. So yep, there's one fillet ready. Let's, oh, you're one of our fresher painted ones, so let's get a little bit more paint on instead on this fillet. Try and get a good coverage onto this, and oh my goodness, the stippling versus brush strokes and everything is night and day for trying to push the base down on. Tiny little bit extra onto there, and make sure we get loads loaded onto there, around the different bits of the boot and all. Haha. Dos. Uno y dos. Número 3. And we're just trying to get down into the recesses for these here bits. on, and right, this has a good coverage now on that. We need to add a little bit more paint onto our wet palette. So another drop, I would say, of Death World Forest should do the job. Boom. Oh. Okay, I guess I'm getting a second drop. There we go. 2 drops. Yeah, that'll do plenty. 2 drops will do plenty. Allow me an opportunity to overcoat some of this stuff as well. So, lots of this here on. Yep, a little bit onto here. Tiny little bit more onto the shoe, or the boot rather, but then we can bring that around and just make sure everything else gets a good coverage. And there's another. So that's 4 ready. And this, oh my goodness gracious me, I just loaded this brush up massively to the point where this might be a problematic one. Actually, I don't think so. I think possibly, yep. I guess the wet palette stops it from being able to be too clumpy. Well, that and a little bit of thinner that I used to transfer between bottles. So, there's yet another. Whoop. Silly me. I just see there's a little bit on that backpack bit's fine actually. Now, these 2 last ones, the bristles are really separated by this point. So yeah, this brush I think is definitely gonna get a nice cleaning tonight afterwards. Maybe soak it in a little bit of paint thinner or something. I do actually have airbrush cleaner. I wonder would that do the same job? So there we go. Nice little bit of coverage on that. Et voila. That is 6 done. Last one. Come on now. You've got this brush. You can last one more model. And there we go. That's this bit covered here, and voila. That is, oh, almost, and I think now it is, crap. Yeah, I think this is now definitely that guy ready. Okie dokes, so now that we've got these here things sorted, I'll just move them over so you can see the base color we have as we have picked it out. So these are our ones we've base coated. These are the ones I want them looking like in the end. So for that there, we're going to be doing a wash with a couple of things, in fact. But first, let's get a little bit of tissue ready. A little bit of something to soak up the water from our paint dish. Well, not quite even our paint dish. It's not a paint dish. It's our water pot. So, just giving this a good clean with the hopes of salvaging as much of this brush as I can. There is separation going on, which is making me think, whoop, haha, very silly of me. Put my finger entirely into the damn thing. Mostly intact. Mostly. So, now we need a wash to darken the colors on these here, which is time for Militarum Green. So I'm gonna not use much of this. I'm going to use 2 drops on my wet palette. And that should hopefully be more than enough. So now I take some of this here, load it onto our brush, and I guess we just do the same sort of thing as we did for this. We're just going to try and stipple it over and get it good sort of even coverage across everything. Because it's much more fluid, it's going to work out much nicer for us. And it's kind of just to add a little bit more greenishness to it. You can't tell a great difference between the two, but the green really, as it sort of sinks in, is like it's sort of popping a bit more, I guess. So let's give this here a try and same onto this model. Let's give it a good wash over. Onto these here bits. And voila. So you can see those ones here have the little bit on. It will darken as we add more stuff to it. At the minute though, we're largely just concerned with getting a nice sort of even base coloration going. So at this point we're adding little bits of green just to sort of accent with the Militarum green. Let's shift this over ever so slightly so that there's more visible. And yeah, so these 3 here, oomph, oomph, and oomph, are fine. We have 4 more to do our wash on. So this here guy. There's 4. Numero 5. Numero 5. I don't actually know. I don't speak Spanish. Numero 5, or is it like numero 5? I don't know. A cúig. A haon, a dó, a trí, a cahar, a cúig, a sé, a seach, a hocht, a ní, a déag. There you go. That's how we're going to count it. Because at least I remember a little bit more Ascuelga than I do in Espanol. So this here, get a good coverage across the little bits. And try and... Ooh, wow. A little bit more needed for his leggies. And final one is going to be this here guy. So, oh yeah, there was basically nothing coming out of that. So we need one more drop of our Militarum green. This is gonna, ooh. Just a little bit sort of ran slightly out of the nozzle. So, ooh, let's load this up. Do this here, and you can kind of see that against this, and then pop this against it. The only thing is there's a slight darker intonation to this one, but that there will come from when we add our shade later on, which we do as a wash after we'll have done all of the individual little brush strokes that are going to go into painting our camo. So at this point, oh boy. Right. Mostly salvaged. A little bit of airbrush cleaner will do the job with this here later on. So, let's get some darker coloration going on with the little bits. Now, we also want some lighter pieces. So the lighter pieces, comparatively, I guess, probably going to come from the Lauren Forest layers that we're going to add. Oh damn. Right. Okie dokes. So, Lauren Forest will have a little bit of. I also realized I should grab some, what do you call it? Maybe not just yet. So, the Lauren Forest, we're going to be painting little small elements with it. So, small elements and small brush strokes require fine brush, and we're gonna try and bring it a little bit closer towards us so that you can see a little bit more, or so that we could both see a little bit more about what I'm trying to do. Now for this here, you might be thinking, oh, he wears glasses, so he's got relatively good sight of what's going on. However, you would be mistaken in that. Maybe I should be wearing my magnifiers, should I? Actually, the better question is, where did I leave my magnifiers? We'll figure that mystery out another day. So, this here, we've got a good bit loaded on, in fact. And you can see I'm doing little finer brush strokes to really try and bring out oh boy. Little sort of small brush strokes, because I'm trying to kind of accent little bits of green in here and there, and they're very important to do as little small bits. Some of them I'm doing as brush strokes, some I might just even do as little stipples or something. But it's all in favor of trying to give a sort of impression. Now our camouflage is we're only really doing on the top end. And we will be doing little bits around the trim of the coat after we cover absolutely everything else. Do our little elements on here. After we do all of these kinds of things, and if I try something like this, so you can see where the sort of changes in color are. So, oh, goodness me, glove is sticky. Probably because I put my goddamn finger in the paint jar without realizing. Well, not jar, paint pot. So, we're doing these little fine pieces down here, and that's okay. We've got one painted with a camo section on him. And you know something? Because the glove is so sticky, we're gonna just, I don't even care, we're going back to just free holding. Which is evidently not a great idea either for how sweaty my hands are after wearing that glove. Little bits onto here. Now we want some small-ish stipples, dabs, all of these kinds of things done across our camouflage, just to break it up. So you can see the difference there. Let's make sure the chest plate also gets a few little lines. However, not too many. There is 2. Now let's get all these other fillers over to the sides because we want them. Hey, thank you very much, Boosted. How are you going? I'm just doing the camo little by little. So at the minute I have Death World Forest as the base coat on. I'm doing our Lauren Forest elements at the minute. Just little tiny steady-ish lines, something to break up the silhouette. I don't want to overload too much on any one element because, I mean, I don't know if you remember from last week, this is how the previous one sort of came out. So I'll actually go ahead and show. This is what the previous one came out as. The camo isn't too exaggerated or anything, but then I think I can use that to sort of be like, hey, this is what you can kind of expect as a camo pattern. Especially considering it's coming from someone who is really not that steady a hand, nor, in my opinion, I think I'm a good painter because I think I'm patient. Nowadays I'm patient. I was not always, but I think I'm moderately good nowadays because of the fact that I don't really get pissed off anymore if I make a mistake. Whoopsie daisies. There's a prime example. I've also, in case you're wondering, shifted my camera around. So my camera previously was mounted up higher than my monitors and everything. No longer the case, because I decided I wanted to bring it down a little bit, rejigged and did a little bit with it. I think I loaded too much on there, so let's try and get these here done as little fine strokes around this bit. And there is another bit done. So, hey NJ, how are you this week? Are ya well? 'Cause you're looking well. The old classic Irish grandpa line. Even though I'm not a grandpa, I'm not even a pa. I just really enjoy saying that because it's a stupid, terrible line. But how are you? How has your week been? How is life? How is work? How is this, that, and the other? Is it all going well for you? Because I certainly hope so. And I hope the NJ does not stand for New Jersey, because I certainly am quite glad at the moment I'm not in America. I'm very well, thank you for asking. I have had just the nicest little week. Caught up on all the work and everything. We're well ahead of our deadlines and all actually at the minute. So it's like, yeah, we're in a really nice spot. Trying to see if it's not really highlighting as much as I'd like. Maybe if I increase the brightness on the light, this might. Whoa, no, that just washes everything out. Okay, let's go back to, nope, wrong button. That takes everything lighter. Let's go for this here. so that you can still kind of make out well, you can see little bits of where the color is changing across it. Oh wait, that's just cold white. No. Give me a mixture. There we go. Lovely. Never go for just cold white when you're painting. Never go for that there. So yeah. Hopefully you can sort of see little bits of how it's coming. My hope is the brown is definitely going to be much more noticeable whenever I get that layered on. So this here, let's see. Is that, yeah, you can see that there. You can make that out as a generalized shape. Same on the back there. Okay, so it's all about the angle. I am looking, after payday, I'm going to get myself a cold shoe mount for the camera, so I can mount a rechargeable light directly on top of the camera, and then at that point I should hopefully be able to avoid any potential issues that there are with the stuff being sort of covered in shadow, all of that sort of stuff. Noob Corpse, how are you going? Are ya well? 'Cause you're looking well. How has your week been? How has your day been? How has everything been? Because my hope for all of those answers is you're going to say, it's been great, Reaper. It's been absolutely great, and I've had a lovely little week where I've been learning all these different things, and I've been enjoying painting Warhammers, and I have not been bowing to chaos in the slightest, because bowing to chaos is dangerous. That's how chaos happens. Been building a lot of guard lately? Nice. What sort of color schemes you going for? You going for a nice sort of deserty camo? At the minute, the Kasrkins I'm working on are this here sort of style, where, you know, I'm just painting them as sub-assemblies and all, but you can see there's little bits of sort of woodland camo going. Different greens and browns going into making them. So at the minute, I am currently trying to work on, I wonder maybe if I change this here, will it, if I go for this, what's this gonna do in terms of coloration? Let's find out. How do you look? Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I just keep it on auto exposure, or like auto scene detect for when I'm doing this here. It seems like it knows what it's doing. It's sort of recognizing general-ish shapes I'm working on. Yeah, the Guardsmen, I'm really enjoying painting these. I wish I had been smart enough beforehand that I had got the Astra Militarum Combat Patrol that used to have the Sentinels and the 2 cannons and the Cadian Command Force and all of that stuff. I wish I'd gone for that when it was available, but instead I decided, no, I don't need it. I'll get this orc thing instead for Kill Team. I'll get this here thing instead, and now I'm just like, I don't like the new Astra Militarum Combat Patrol. But also at the same time, I still need to finish off my Death Guard and all. I will in, well, short order, I will be showing off some of the things because we've been live for 45 minutes. Whenever we get some of the little bits, I'll grab one of our things. I'll grab one of our previous guardsmen, which was Death Corps of Krieg from the old Kill Team box. Kill Team, or Kriegsmen versus Orcs, the Commando Squad. So I'll show you that there in a brief moment. Just want to try and get, so this here, hopefully, whoa, don't send the wet pallet flying. That would not be good. You can see, yeah, you can actually kind of see the bits of green difference there. It's going to look more emphatic whenever I've layered on the brown bits and then I've done a wash with Biltan green, because the greens look quite similar. This here is going to be really useful for us up to a certain point. Up to a certain point, it's going to be really dead handy for us that they look sort of similar-ish, because it'll allow us to do really sort of nice blending, I guess. We're not doing like wet blending or anything, we are very much doing separate colorings, but it's, you know, all in service of let's try and make this as cool as it could possibly look. And let's get these sorts of things done. Doing some of these little faint lines now. And there we go. Right, so that is the green shades done. Now we get to move on to a very distinctly different shade, which I'm excited to use, because we've already done our Lauren Forest, we've done our Militarum green wash. Cat was on the desk. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. We haven't done our Biltan green yet, and our base shade that we did was Death World Forest. So what I'm going to do is, I haven't moved it across to the dropper bottle yet, but we're going to use a little bit of Kasrkin flesh, and that is going to serve its purpose as our brown for the camo. So, oh, almost was a very silly biscuit. That right there is the sound of the agitator ball, and we can use a good little bit onto our palette here, because we are going to do a good little bit of brown onto there, and we could also use a little bit of our Baneblade brown. So these here, lovely, and we'll pop a little bit of our Baneblade brown down. So oh boy, there we go. Right, lovely. Let's go ahead and give a wipe around the seal there, just so that the nozzle doesn't clog on this here. And right, we now have two different brown shades that we can use. So we're going to start off with this guy. Now, for our very small pieces, we are going to use a very small brush. I kind of like this Craft Geek one, so this is a 3-0, and you can see pretty small head. Yes, it's starting to hook and everything a little bit, which isn't ideal. Let me actually check if the other box has a non-hooking one. Oh, it has one that looks very intact at the minute actually, but it's a 0-0. Do we go for I think a tighter point on a 0-0 as opposed to a 3/0? This here kind of thing. Yeah, this will do nice fine lines. That'll do the job nicely. So let's open up our thing and pop that one back in. Lovely. We can pop you into there. So now, I probably should have put this back into the box with the thing, but screw it, what odds. We are going for the lighter brown shades now. So, lighter brown shades, we're going to go trying to get a decent-ish sort of breakup of the colors. We don't want too much of a single color all in one go, which is why things like this here bit are going to be very nice to implement. A little bit on there, a little bit more, so that we have a single stroke like that. Haha. Just realized I was holding it a little bit too far down. So you can see here the way we're adding these lighter elements in. And hopefully it makes sense why we're adding this lighter tone. This is for the purpose of a lighter wood. So the way I see it as, if you're in a forest, not everything is all going to be a dark wood. You're going to have points where you come up against lighter woods. You know, these lighter woods are, you know, I mean, birch is a great example. A birch tree is almost white, the coloration to it. So at that point, you want those lighter elements mixed in. And we very much don't want too much of any one thing together. So that's why we're trying to really do these little slashes and splotches to break it up. So this guy here, when you look at his thing here, that's not a bad little camo pattern. There's a little bit too much green altogether on there, so we're gonna add a little slash like that, and ta-da, there's one. Lovely. Now, next fella, let's get a little bit loaded onto here, onto our brush. And we're trying to get these sorts of things all together. Some of these little bits will stipple like that. That's not a bad wee stipple onto that little vertical line there, and that. You also don't want to go for anything that looks too like geometric, you know? I don't want to draw big squares on that. I know you see squares a lot in modern digital camo, but modern digital camo, I don't actually really think, like, I think that's very much the modern era. You're probably not going to see it used as much in space times. I think we're almost going to regress away from that towards things. I mean, hell, look for example at, what was it they called it? Was it ACU camo? They called it the US Army ACU camo. The one they spent like several billion researching, only to have everyone, including their developers, realize this is the most universally ugly camouflage that serves no purpose anywhere whatsoever. I think it was the ACU. It didn't serve its purpose for naval. It had no real use for urban combat. Lots of different things it could have been used for, but it was useless for everything. So there is another little chest armor done. So that's 2 of these fellas. Right, so out of our squad of ones, we've got these ones. Next up is this here fella. And yeah, we're about this distance up. So going for these little sort of fine brush strokes and all. But that one, because there was a nice puddle of it, I was like, you know what? Rather than having it pull together, if we push it away, it'll thin out as it moves towards its destination. And if it thins out a lot, happy days. So this here, like when you actually look at how many brush strokes we're doing, we're really not doing many brush strokes. And we're certainly not adding a tremendous amount of paint on to the model with each brush stroke. But these tiny little pieces that we're adding on they are really adding to the character of it, because these little bits, even if we're only doing tiny stupid little elements or something, they're coming together in service of a bigger picture. And I think that's why I'm enjoying painting guardsmen nowadays, because guardsmen are very much little guy models. Even though my partner, just to annoy me, keeps referring to them as, oh, you mean the Space Marines that aren't Space Marines. Oh, Teresa Murray 66, thank you very much for sharing the live. Greatly appreciated. Hopefully you're having yourself a nice little time. I'm guessing from the fact that you're sharing it, you're liking either watching camouflage be painted or learning about why I think particular camo patterns are just nicer. And I will be honest with you, the camouflage I think looks the nicest just aesthetically, not in terms of like, oh, I think this is the most effective camo that there is or anything. I think the one I like the most is probably the Spetsnaz camo, honestly. Disagree vehemently with Russia's deployment of special forces and military forces for pretty much everything they're deploying for nowadays. But I will say that sort of blue camo pattern they've got going and everything, that looks freaking cool. So yeah. But as I say, vehemently disagree with their deployment everywhere. Although that's one of those things that, yeah, I think we can all agree, let's just not be dicks and make war. I don't think that's an entirely controversial thing to say, although I might be wrong. So this guy here has a little bit more of the light wood tones on his armor. So now we're getting closer. We're at 1 hour. We have half an hour left. Half an hour to see just how much camouflage we can get done on these guys. Because even if I only get the camouflage bits done tonight, that's still a good little bit. I can do things like belts and all another time. Because this is not going to be the last Warhammer Wednesday. Oh no. This is not the first, nor shall it be the last. So there is that. Let's do a final little slash there. A little bit more of this. We're loading it on nicely. Plenty going. And a little bit more because we want a splotchy bit. There we go, and that. Now we'll just do a little bit onto there. And there is another fella with camouflage painted onto him. So we're down to 2. Whoom. Whoom. Slice. Oh, that was a little bit too large to be a slice. What about in here? Nope. That didn't work either. So, yeah, a couple of these things. Oh, there's an ad playing. Well, you know what? We've got the hour-and-a-half timer. We're not going to stop for the ads tonight. When we're playing a game such as on Friday, we will stop for the ads. What we will not do, however, is stop for them during our time-restricted Warhammer painting, because that's my plan here. Get as much done as I can within the space of an hour-and-a-half, so I can go, have a shower, get ready for bed, all of that kind of jazz. Because tomorrow is an office day for me. And office days are, well, I like to not be a stinky boy for them, you know? So you might notice we're doing very sort of fine precision-y kinds of points. This here, yeah, we drastically overloaded our palette with our Baneblade Brown. But you know, we'll figure it. So these here little bits, let's try and get a good bit of coverage onto them. And we also, for this, need to watch and make sure we don't paint any onto the helmet, because these guys do not wear camouflage helmets. Their helmets are just the one color. And a little bit up at the top end here. There we go. Right. Okie dokos. Now, I guess we'll stick with this guy. We need to rinse our brush. We need to rinse the brush because we are changing our color. And we are actually going to a base shade again. The base shade being Kasrkin Flesh. But Kasrkin Flesh has a really nice thing to it, where Kasrkin Flesh, we can do these really nice fine lines with, such as that there. There's nice fine little elements in there that I very much like about painting with Kasrkin Flesh, or Kasrkin, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I've heard people say it as like Kasrkin Raider, but I don't actually know myself. I would say it as Kasrkin, but that's probably because I'm thinking like catacomb, despite the fact the CH is very much not the same as the CO, although some people say catacombs, like catacomb, and it's like, where do you get the coom part from? It's something that brings me tremendous confusion. So there we go, that's the upper parts of the armor done. Let's get these littler pieces. And we're doing, for our dark woods, we are doing very much lines with it instead of trying to go for a splodgy sort of bit. We want it to be a line. Boom, and let's get another little. So there we go, those little pieces there are done. And now, so this here is our camouflage that we've painted onto it. And trust me when I say, once I have a wash over it, it's going to look even nicer, I think. Because the wash is going to darken everything, but it's also going to separate those colors out a bit as a result of that. So, do our little lines and slices down here. Got a little bit of a, ooh yeah, that's not a bad idea actually. We'll do a single line that sort of drags through that bit. That's not half bad. A little bit more loaded onto our brush. Load that. A little bit onto there. Round these here parts to the lower end of it, so that we have and don't worry worry too much about if there's a shake or a tremor or something, because I don't think we do need to worry too much about it. There is a second fella, camo ready, lovely. So there's uno y dos. I think we should probably try and be a little bit quicker with this almost actually. So there's that. Oh, that was a big splodge. Now these here bits, you can see we're trying to get little bits of coverage on. I think actually, while our first little bit of dark brown onto this here was an absolute travesty because it was overloaded like hell, the subsequent lines and all aren't actually proven to be too bad. So yeah, a little bit less loaded on, but that's okay. We'll have stuff brushing across, do all these here bits, and then, oh yeah, I can see the way it's come out slightly on the thing there. It does have a slight bump to it, which is very unfortunate. But, ta-da! There's a little bit more done with it. And you know what, we can't have that there going. Let's do a little bit onto that, and oh boy, a little bit on there and there. So that's another one done. Let's get another couple of things loaded. Oop, I can see there was a blob waiting to drop off there. A little bit of these sorts of bits onto here. Try and break up as much of the single shades as we can. And we're just, it may look like it's really awkward the way we're holding it, but that is largely because it is a little bit, and that's all right, you know. So a little bit more of this. Rotate our brush around. Bits more onto here. Do the back end here a little bit more. And that's another fella. Camo wash ready. 3 more of these guys, and we've still got hey Mag2 Grid, thank you very much for the follow, greatly appreciated. Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful little evening, painting a little bit of Astra Militarum, or maybe you're painting yourself a little bit of chaos or something, you know? I'm not going to judge. I won't judge anyone here for what you like to paint. If you want to paint like chaos, you paint chaos. If you want to paint Astra Militarum, paint Astra Militarum. If you want to paint Ultramarines, I will judge you a little bit. I kid. Like, the starter box now has all the stuff you need for painting an ultramarine right off the bat. And it's like, yeah, it's fine. It's just not my favorite color scheme. Lore-wise, I don't even, like, I appreciate a lot of people are just like, oh, but, like, ultramarines are, like, they're written as being really overpowered. And I was like, sure. Like, I do understand they fought off a Tyranid fleet or something, I believe. I believe that was one of the things. But if painting ultramarines gets someone into Warhammer as a hobby, and Warhammer is a hobby they enjoy partaking in, fuck it. Paint ultramarines. Paint Black Templars. Paint frickin' Emperor's Children if you want. You can paint all kinds of different factions. You can paint in whatever way you want. Because this here, for example, I don't know if this follows any Cadian designs or anything like that there. All I know is I'm enjoying painting it. It's... Not only do I find this fun painting this camouflage, I also, whenever I look at it afterwards, I'm like, I wouldn't have attempted this a year ago. Trying to go for this here sort of more delicate camouflage thing. I was like, yeah, okay. But that, I think, is just a sign that I think my painting has improved a hell of a lot. I'm not going to say leaps and bounds, but I will say I think my painting has certainly improved over where I was a year ago. Hell, even 6 months ago. I probably would have been very impatient and just given up on shit like this. I would have been like, no, I don't want to paint the camouflage, it's really difficult to do. That's why I put off the new, or the old combat patrol box. Because I was like, but I know I wouldn't be ready to paint them for ages. Because I would want to paint them nicely. I'd want them to look like my best work. And I'm just not ready to do that. Whereas now, I'm like, you know something? I'm ready to start working towards what I think might be my best works yet. Less of this whole, it's like, oh, I don't think I'm ready. This is the year where I'm just gonna go, I'm going to try. And that will all come together. It'll all be in service of one really simple thing, which is me enjoying the hobby. Might even play a game this year, who knows? My mate that I do like painting with and everything, he is moving to New Zealand. But I think this year I'm going to try and go to the Warhammer store near me more. Go to the store and just spend some time maybe book a paint evening in or something and work on these guys, or maybe work on my Death Guard, maybe work on some of that stuff, who knows. But comparing this to what I did about 3 weeks ago, I thought, you know what, I like this as a camo pattern. And for me, the difference between this And this, such a difference, I think. So yeah, we're embracing it. This year we're trying, we're painting, we're trying, we're having fun, and more importantly, I'm going to be trying to do painting streams a good bit this year, so that if I figure out something that I like, that works, I can share that, and someone else might benefit greatly from it. That's my hope. So, there's 5 drops of this shade, Biltan green. And why do I have a shade? Very simple reason, folks. We're gonna get another glove, so we are. Give me 1 wee second. 1 wee second. Bye-bye. I'm gonna wear a glove so that I don't just paint a whole pile of stuff directly onto my hand, because that would just be very silly biscuitishness of me. So, nice nitrile gloves. The same kind you would see used in a laboratory. I know that because it was actually from a wonderful group of people in a laboratory that were kind enough to let me have a box. So, you'll see what I mean about this here coloring the thing a little bit. It's going to separate the colors out a little bit more, which is almost the opposite sometimes of what you want. But for this here, like that there, I love that. I love that. So that's why I am a big fan of Biltan green right now, because it's perfect for using as a wash over woodland camo. Just the way it all works together. Lovely stuff. It really does just make the whole thing work a whole lot more. And here's another. Love it. Another dude. Let's get some good little bits. I think the way the green also sits in the dark recesses and all, like the way the Biltan sits down into the shade parts, I'm also a huge fan of that. Et voila. There's, oh god, I'm just so happy with how these are turning out. A little bit more onto these here. And whoop, almost missed out on the head and everything for him. But there we go. Another fella with some nice little camouflage going. And our final one that we're doing is this here guy. And push down into all these here bits. Et voila! Another nice little camouflage paint job done. So there we go. That's the camouflage is done on all those fellas. I think as well we've still got, oh man, we're 3 minutes away, so I don't think we are going to have the time tonight, but we're going to focus our camera so you can see what our progress tonight was. And let's bump the brightness up a little bit. So, oof. Alexa, stop. Oh wait, this guy didn't get a wash. We gotta fix that real quick. So let's give him a dab. Hey, voila. There we go. 6 happy gentlemen. Wonder, Alright, let's try these settings and see. Ah, a little bit bright. Little bit bright. So there you go. That is what an hour and a half looks like. From grey fellas all the way up to Camouflage on the chests, painted legs, all of that. That took us an hour and a half. So there's one. Two. Three. Four. Five. Whoop. Six. Seven. And these are all the ones we did tonight. So, meantime, that is going to be me for now. Let's go have a look on the old twitch.tv and see who's live. I don't know how, I don't think TikTok has like a raid thing that lets you send people elsewhere, but maybe going into Hey, Glucostoffin is live playing Outward. Nice. Let's head on over to Glucostoffin. For everyone else who is watching currently on the old TikTok, etc., I will be sure to catch yous on Friday. I'm doing Fallout Friday, and then we're doing Red Dead on Friday as well. So let's there we go. So meantime, let's head on over. Glucostoffin, who's playing Outward. I shall see yous on Friday if I don't see you over in Gluco's chat. Meantime, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful week, and I will see yous later on in it. Bye bye.